All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to episode 83 of my weekly GEMP game review series. I'm your host, Chris Gogolin. We're going without the camera tonight. I was in a good mood, and then something happened about 20 minutes ago that has completely changed that and put me in a very pissy mood. And, well, I don't want to even look at my own face and see all of the anger and frustration that's there. So, we're going to go without the camera. And we're starting the show a few minutes earlier than we usually do because there is an OCS game going on right now that just started a minute or two ago between Huge and Yodad, and I wanted to jump into that. I know it's Throne Room, but it's a Hoth Careful Planning deck, and we don't get to see. Sorry, Hoth, the Dark Side version. We don't get to see a lot of Dark Side Hoth Walker style decks on the show, so I wanted to make sure to take some time and show that. We've had Kevin on the show, but we've looked at Kevin's decks a few times on the show before. That didn't sound good either. Um, we've reviewed a few of Kevin's matchups before, and he always has some interesting and creative deck ideas. There we go. Now we're getting it together. So he started. It's a CRV start. He started the system. Why can't I think of the name of that card? It's not Careful Planning. It's Combat Readiness. Yeah, that's it. Uh, we've got security precautions on the system, along with I Am Your Father, and You May Start Your Landing. This gets you, so you start the system, the fifth marker, you use You May Start Your Landing to get the third marker, which is probably one of, if not the best site just in terms of text and force icons. It's a 2/1. It's a drain +1, and all of Darkseid's weapon destiny draws, you add one to each of them. So Vader with the lightsaber, it's a 2/1 site. You drain for 3 at it. Yes, there's 2 bonuses there, but there's not a lot of stuff that cancels force drain bonuses in the current meta. Um, and if with Blizzard 4, you pull Vader out nice and cheap and early, and then that's going to trigger 1 ping damage from You May Start Your Landing, 1 force for each marker site you occupy with an AT-AT. So this right here, uncontested, would be 4 damage right off the bat. Now, the problems with this site become if you play against a light side Hoth deck, this site is shielded, so you can't deploy there, and it's not a battleground, which can, really limit your options. All right, looks like Yodad is going to challenge that. So he's got the Tantive already stacked up at Hoth with R2D2 adding an extra icon because the Tantive has a Scump link. Then he's got Corn, Horn, and it looks like a Poe Dameron as pilots aboard that. So that's 10 power. He's got 3 light side icons at the system. So basically it's a 3/3 right now with security precautions there. In effect. They're not real icons, so they don't quite count like that. But all right. Luke comes down. We didn't get a side tour pull yet, but it's not an automatic response anymore. It's a separate action. He's going to get Ray as well, and then he's going to use Ray to take a card into hand from used pile. So he had 10 to choose from. So if there's possibility of double lightsabers, or if Anakin's is there for Ray, and then he can side tour for Luke's. Yep, he's going to side tour for Luke's. He also had options possibly to get some type of weapon protection, whether it's a blaster deflection or whatnot, to keep Luke from being hit, or even just an Odin combo. So he doesn't necessarily have to lose both characters. Kevin does have a 12 card hand here, so he's going to have some options and some tricks of his own, possibly some force fields or I have you nows. Oof. Now, Luke adds 1 to each of his draws, all on his own, but he still draws terrible, draws a 0 and a 1. Does he have a Jedi Lev? He does have a Jedi Lev. So he still has a chance, surprisingly enough, if he can just draw, I think, a 5. No, 0, 1, 2. All right. So he's got the makings of a small straight, but that is going to be a miss. There's the blaster deflection. Kind of had to expect that coming. I mean, obviously you want to swing at Luke and get the card off the table, but between an 8 or 9 card hand and then a 10 card use pile search, you'd have to expect that, and maybe swinging at Ray there might have just been the better option, just to hit or make her forfeit 0. I mean, Luke's immune to less than 6. You probably don't crack that, but at the very least, maybe you force some battle damage or something through. And gosh forbid if you draw low, Ray's immune to less than 3. It doesn't come into play a lot. A lot of people don't really rely on it. All right, so it's a 4. All right, so Yodad initiated this battle. Blizzard 4 is going to go. Luke is going to go. And now the question becomes, if you're Yodad, do you run Luke away? Or you can shuttle him up. You can move him over to the 5th marker. You can move him into the docking bay. Nope. He's feeling brave. Luke's not gonna run from his father. He's gonna stare him down and see what happens. I have a sneaking suspicion Vader's about to get some friends. He did pick up an accelerate off of the Imperial Justice. There are no flagship sites in there, though, so he misses the bridge pull. The downside to this type of start is that there's nothing you can look for when you start these 3 effects. You don't have any docking bay pullers. You don't have like a crush to go look for Evader or Monarch or something. Now it's floating around somewhere in the force pile. And I'll have to find an opportunity later, hopefully to, or draw into it. Yodad does get to verify, and does discover that he is playing some sense, I guess, because here comes a do or do not shield. Okay, so Kevin's got another Blizzard 4 number 2. It's going to hit the table. It's going to Goldenrod. He's going to pull Tarkin, which Goldenrod's going to make him pay 2 for. But Tarkin's still going to add a Battle Destiny with Vader. So now you're looking at 14 to 7. Unlikely he's going to have 2 blaster deflections. And at a site that swings +1 to each, there's a pretty good chance that Luke's going to get hit. And the question's going to become, well, actually, I think it's going to be 14 to 8, because Luke is power +1 for each Dark Jedi, and then he gets 1 more from the system now that he's in battle. He's still down by 6, though. And again, second Destiny draw from Tarkin. That was Tarkin non-V. You're correct. I take that back. I'm so used to seeing real Tarkin that I forget. Sometimes people occasionally sneak in the old non-V Tarkin. Thank you, Mr. Shaw. That is an excellent pickup. So Luke's hit, forfeit 0, but he does have the Odin combo at least to protect Luke's forfeit. So Luke will forfeit for 9 still. He does have to lose a force from I Am Your Father. He's going to throw away a Run Luke Run. If I had a Run Luke Run in my hand, I'd have moved Luke away. And he draws terrible again. This might be a quick game. It's another pile of the last 5 cards he's drawn. It's 0, 1, 2, 1, 1 for Weapon Destinies. There was a 4 sprinkled in there that, got rid of the Blizzard 4 last turn. Alright, so there's a 6. His Battle Destiny is going to get canceled by Tarkin. So it's going to be 0. So he's down by 12. Luke still gets his forfeit to cover 9 of that, so it's only really peeling 3 cards. So he's fortunate to get off the hook a little bit there. It's Luke in 3. But now he's going to top deck a whole bunch of high Destiny cards. Yeah, relatively unprotected. Hear me, baby. Rescue in the Clouds. 7/5/5 when he just drew 0, 1, 2, 4, 1, 1 with the last 6 cards off the top of his deck. He will pay the maintenance. And Yodad is going to take this opportunity to retrieve Luke's lightsaber. It's throne room. We know he's got, we'll say 4 Lukes. Seems like a reasonable number. And Tarkin stays inside the Blizzard Walker as well, which is going to be challenging to deal with. He can't be hit in there. Now, we did see Leia's gun go by. So if Leia were to come down, pull the weapon, shoot the Blizzard Walker, it's bye-bye Blizzard 4 and Tarkin along with it. And that would kind of leave Vader sticking his neck out there by himself. But seeing what I mentioned earlier, when he had the Run Luke Run in hand, I probably would have spent the Force, moved Luke away. You give him a drain if he wants to pay for it. He doesn't activate a whole lot of Force. If he pays the drain, then he may not have enough Force to really reinforce these guys. And there goes Tarkin V. So he has both, one of each. I wonder if that's on purpose or accidental. We'll have to assume it's on purpose, but anywho. Then you drop any other character here, initiate battle, run Luke into the battle. Some people don't use Run Luke Run offensively. They think of it only as a defensive card. Like, oh, okay, if I get battled, I can react Luke over. It's not a react. It's like a react, but it's not a react because you can do it to your own battle. So if he doesn't reinforce Vader, now Vader's sitting there by himself. You put any guy down, battle, Run Luke Run, move him back over, and you can possibly overflow Vader. All right, so as we mentioned earlier, here comes the drain of 4. Well, drain 3 and ping 1. There goes, sorry about the mess off the top, Jedi Lev and the boss Nash Chamber. And to the 1 ping, he top decked the blaster deflection. Kev's going to go all in on this site, and why not? I mean, if you're doing 4 damage a turn, looking at the life force counts here, 29 to 30, they're about even. Kevin's got a couple extra cards in his hand, but realistically, you're doing 4 damage a turn, your opponent's doing 2 damage a turn. Well, I think you're ahead. You don't want to go too crazy though. You don't want to over deploy. There's reinforcing and then there's over deploying. And right now, he feels he's in a pretty solid spot here. I wouldn't add anything else, and then you still have options to hold back other key characters like EPP Maul, whatever variation of Maul you're playing, and then any other character or a Sing that might draw by herself with her blaster. Any other good aliens or whatnot. Doctor E combo, Grievous, Kylo Ren, Ventress. I don't know. Mara Jade. Well, he's playing Mara Jade's ship because it's stacked over here, so probably not Mara Jade, but still, still some options out there. And now you got to force light side to find their own battleground. So if they got a Wisa for the battle planes or whatever their plan is in this throne room build here. It's interesting that R2 is on the Tantive because putting R2 to one of these sites would create a battleground. Um, there's no scomp link or anything here at the 5th marker, so it's not like you can just shuttle R2 down and like, oh, magical battleground maker. You kind of need to hold a guy like R2 back or find a way to forfeit him to get him to the use pile. But R2 makes the security tower into a 2-1 battleground site, which is pretty good for a deck like Throne Room. Looks like Luke did not learn his lesson the first time. He's going to try again. You know what they say, if first you don't succeed, right? Brush yourself off and try again. Something like that. There's Padme. So Padme cancels Vader's game text immediately. Lando's also going to come down, so now he would conceptually get a second Battle Destiny. Justice is going to stop Lando from really having any impact other than making him lose 2 force. Um, Lando's going to get shot by P-59. Padme's likely to get hit by Vader. Padme will add a Destiny to attrition first, which would be helpful. Lando's really just there for some extra power, probably maybe forfeit fodder, depending on how he wants to, how Kevin wants to shake things up. Personally, I'd swing at Padme and I'd shoot with P-59 at Lando, but I don't know what the Destiny's like in Kevin's deck to know for sure. It's also not Luke's lightsaber. It's Anakin's lightsaber. So he is going to hit Luke this time. Again, he knows his deck well enough to know what's in his hand, what's in his reserve deck, what his odds are. Um, somebody who's just watching the game, you always have to take the more conservative route, go for the guaranteed play. Yeah, I know it's the 3rd marker and it's a plus, but there's more defensive cards to help protect Luke. He's only got a 2-card hand, I guess, left at this point, but, you know, who knows what we're seeing here. So he swings at the old Vader. Tarkin's going to cancel one of the 2 of them to keep him from getting hit. P-59 is going to shoot Lando. And he draws a Maul. Does he have anything for that? Nope, so he actually misses. He'll pick up Justice to stop the second Battle Destiny. He'll still have the Attrition Destiny from Padme. So he's got 1 Battle Destiny and 1 Attrition Destiny. Anything more than 6 is going to get... Well, at the rate he's going with all these 1s and whatnot, he may not even get rid of P-59. He probably will lose P59 just because he has to lose something, but yep, he got 4 for a total. So dark side, you lose P59 or Tarkin, take your pick. I would lose P59 in this situation most likely. There goes Luke. Lando's kind of screwed here. He can just, but luckily, you know, he can just not pay his maintenance cost and get him off the table that way. Otherwise, Lando's going to have his game text canceled so he doesn't draw Destiny or get to retrieve a card and add it to his power. Even though he wouldn't have a force left to do that with because Secret Plans is going to trigger. Um, so realistically, Kevin's definitely in the driver's seat here, and he's going to be a mile ahead. He'll let Lando go and put him out of play. And now it's 28-28 in terms of cards down, but Kevin has a 9 card hand advantage now, and he's about to do 4 more damage. So second verse, same as the first. And now if you're Kevin, you just kind of just keep the pressure on. He picked up Mara's ship off Justice that time, so he does have something. But I don't know that I'd really want to. You don't need to force the issue and contest this space situation. You know, your opponent's spending. He's got 11 force. He's spending 3 of it to drain you for 2. That leaves him 8 to deploy. Okay, at that he's only got 3 cards in hand. So if he drains you and then draws a bunch of cards, and then the following saves maybe 1 or 2, and then the following turn, like you're really in no threat here, and you're just going to keep pulling further ahead. So yeah, there's no need for Kevin to really do anything else at this point, except he's going to add Dr. E, really just making sure uh, that Yodad doesn't try anything crazy. Chris, Mr. Westergaard, depending on who you are. He's going to grab the rescue just to take 1 more card away and slow down his opportunities to find anything useful. But he's going to lose Ellis. He's going to lose Wall of Fire. Wall of Fire is not a card we see all that often, but it is very helpful against No Idea. If piloted AT-AT at a site, target any number of opponent's troopers present at same or adjacent exterior site. Draw Destiny. If it's bigger than that, those guys die. Usually you pick 2 or 3. You got enough high Destinies in your deck, you draw some 4s or 5s. Bam, those troopers are all gone, and then there's like either nobody left or 1 person just sitting there kind of staring at you going, oh, where'd everybody go? It's Captain Hera and Saw and, rebel trooper reinforcements and whatnot, and you're like, or, whoever. And you just make 2 or 3 of them go away. So he shuttles down R2, which does not make that a battleground because there's no scomp link. as we covered earlier, and Corrin. Now, Kevin is, it appears to be shield busted. I don't know if we saw Cold Feet go by earlier. I don't know if he used it at any point. So he can't get Coward out to stop this drain. He can move people, obviously, to block the drain. But Chris did redraw a couple cards, so he's back up to 7, at least in hand, at least for the moment. And he's top decking, so he's holding on with dear life to the cards that are in his hand. 15 and 7. Oh, there you go. He doesn't even need to worry about it. He's just going to image the Dark Lord the site, which most people know makes a drain -1. But there's this extra little bonus text, -2 if Vader controls an adjacent site. So this went from being a drain of 2 to a drain of 0. That's the fun little bonus text of Image of the Dark Lord. Not quite sure which marker site Veers was at when he was messaging with, but it seems kind of thematic. And Chris just pays 3 to drain for 0 at the Ice Plains instead of paying 3 to drain in space. And Luke is going to give up and go to Naboo. He's got the second lightsaber as well. Okay. Now Chris is actually in a point where he's threatening a considerable amount of damage. This is still 0 over here, but now it's 2 and 3, and he's not paying for it, which is pretty helpful. He's still behind, 24 to 14, so he's behind 10 life force down, plus 7 in hand, and he's about to get hit for 4 more. So still way, way behind. Kevin could easily just ride this out. He's far enough ahead, he could just, take his foot off the gas and just coast over the finish line. Knowing Kevin, he's not usually the kind of guy who will do something like that. But this being an OCS game, he may take the opportunity to, just play it a little more closer to the chest. Well, he's going to take advantage of the opportunity in space instead. Now with those guys shuttled down, doing absolutely nothing. We've got an Emperor's shuttle. We've got a Mara and her Decimator. Do we have an Emperor? There's an Emperor, so he's adding a Destiny there. Mara's not going to add, but he does have enough ability between the two ships, so he's getting 1 Destiny from that, plus a 2nd Destiny from the Emperor's text. Don't really see the need to pick up the card off Justice. You're both drawing 2, but the shuttle's completely immune. So at best, you lose Mara, and as long as you draw greater than 6, he loses everything. So I would not pick up a card off Justice here. And just try and clear everything out in one fell swoop here. There's a Dr. E. Needs greater than 6. He draws a total of 4. That's not going to get it done. In fact, that doesn't even crack the immunity on the Tantive from Poe. Kind of awkward. And he draws 8. So he's 16 to 11. Mara would have covered. Instead, he's going to opt to lose the Emperor to keep more power there. Neither of these ships have any, ship docking, shuttling capacity, so he can't bring, Dr. E or anybody up. But he'll He'll block a drain or two with what he's got, and who knows? He'll hope to draw a 5 next time around and at least crack the immunity on the Tantive. Yodad will get the drain to 3 in. There goes a Walker Garrison. There goes an Uta Guta and an Accelerate. All right, Poe's got a Ray for backup now, Ray number 2. She'll have only 4 cards to choose from this time around. Not sure he's going to have much left that would be helpful or that he can even deploy. He did save 3 cards, though, so whether he's worried about a close call, especially because the rescue did get grabbed, you have to at least keep that in the back of your mind. That's a possibility, I guess. It's not a card we see played too often, so you're kind of doing yourself a disservice playing into it. He will pick up the card off Justice, so he'll limit the light side to just 1 Destiny here. Ray's going to add 1 to the total, but he's not going to beat 7. Yep. So it's a 6. That'll clear Mara. Light side, a dark side draws a 6 back, so that's going to get rid of Ray. Ray goes, Mara ship goes. But that was light side's battle, and they are going to be, yeah, they'll shuttle those guys back up because they weren't doing anything on the ground, right? Come on, take Corin too. He ain't doing nothing. There you go. But all Kev's going to do, he's going to drain for free, do his 4 damage, and he's just going to land the Emperor shuttle. Next turn, Dr. E or Dr. E and Tarkin can get in it next turn and take back off. But for now, he's 21 to 9 here. He's got a 12 card advantage. He can lean on it again. Again, plus 5 more in hand. So really, he's ahead by 17 at this point. And he's doing 4 to his opponent's 5. So not enough daylight left for Yodad to make it up. There goes an Anakin from hand, Owisa, and Leia's gun. Hey, we got a Darth Maul sighting. And a Phantom Menace. See, I told you I wasn't going to be content to just sort of sit on his lead and kind of run out the clock here. Maybe he's got a Gick in hand and he's just, doesn't have any fear. Just trying to end the game a little faster so we can go to bed because it's after midnight in the UK. Swing number 1 misses, but we do find the Gick and is there. So now we'll have to wonder if he's got 2 or not. Maul's plus 2 defense value from the Phantom Menace, but Luke adds 1 to each weapon destiny, so that kind of just offsets that. That's going to do it. He's going to be hit and forfeit 0. Luke will get a second swing. I'm sorry, Maul will get a second swing at Luke. We'll see if he's got. All right, that's a bigger destiny. It is Luke's lightsaber, so he's going to need at least a 3. 2 5s will definitely do it. Hey, Blue Plays, thank you for following the channel. Hope you stay tuned for all of our weekly content as well as our live major event coverage throughout the year. And if you really like what you're watching, please sure and also hit the subscribe button. If you have Twitch, if you have Amazon Prime, you get a free subscription every month if you link it to your Twitch Prime account. And we appreciate the monthly support. We also give out foil virtual slips at 3, 6, and 12-month milestones. You just have to, when you hit your 6 or 12-month milestone, send a screenshot of that and include your mailing address, and we will mail you out some foils. All right, everybody dies, and the Phantom Menace goes back used. So he actually puts a card back in his deck. Run up that differential one more. Land the shuttle. And pay the upkeep and say go. So 23 and 7 is 30 to 10. I think we'll see Mr. Westergaard here. Usually I would expect it, if you're not going to just concede the game, sometimes, people, they don't want to concede, but they'll just activate and draw up. Oh, he's got a Jyn Erso. Might be a case of too little, too late. But maybe not. Now he's still going to take 1 ping damage from the walker every turn. It would take him 9 turns to die at that point, though. Now Kevin's got several options here. He can put some people into the Emperor's shuttle, whether it's Tarkin and Evazan from the site, and then take back off and just kind of block the drain for a turn or two. Or if he's got any other characters in hand, he can just throw them over here because he knows his opponent doesn't really have enough force to deploy anything else. All right. There's another card we don't see all that often. Defensive Fire and Hut Smooch. The lost part of this is the Hut Smooch part. Capture one opponent's undercover spy. Or if they just deployed a spy, you can put them back in their hand. But capturing them is kind of easier to do that. The used part here is randomly select one card from opponent's hand and put it in their used pile. So it has a used function to at least put it back. If you happen to be in a game where it's not really going to do much use for you, you're not playing any undercover spies. But most decks these days do run at least Jyn, so it does have pretty good utility value. It is only Destiny 2, which is not ideal, but Yodad is going to concede at that point. No sense running it out after the bad luck with those battle destinies. And congrats to Kevin on picking up the win. Let's take a look at the old OCS leaderboard here. We're 18 out of 31 days through the month. It's just over 60%. Greg Shaw still sitting at the top. Jared already qualified. These scores unlikely to hold up here. These are, it's what, 8 and 4, because we've got some guys sitting right here who are 8 and 1. All Stars is already qualified. Paul's missed out on qualifying based on win percentage at least once. This could certainly be his month. He's got 3 games left. Wonder if there's our Hitco or Imperial Entanglements games. Oh, spoiler alert! Those are the decks that Paul plays all the time. Uh, Nick was 6-0. Looks like he had a rough day. He's 7-2 right now, so he's still in a spot to challenge the top of the leaderboard. Possibly, a 10-2 might sneak in here, especially with this being an already qualified spot. You don't necessarily have to get above Jared in win percentage. Just being third would be enough to still qualify you this month. Justin could certainly get in there, though, Justin and Jared, and that would create another at-large bid. Shaw would get one, and then the other one would be up for grabs based on the season points, which I think Paul is currently leading right now. Nick hasn't played much, so he's still going to be pretty far behind on the at-large bid scoreboard. Worf's 7-2, 6-3, 6-3. Again, can still put up a good point totals. Some of these other guys here have some decent point totals going. Could make a run 5-1s here. Taco Bill's down here at 4-1. So still, still plenty of games left to be played. We still got a whole bunch of guys over here who are just getting started in this 2-1 range, or yeah, and then some people around here like Silverglade who haven't played any games yet this month. Who knows what they might get up to? Make a last-minute run. Fox kind of in the same boat. Hasn't played any games yet. So, all right, let's go back out to the old lobby. Not much else going on. Looks like some people are just kind of waiting around to start some games. Um, yeah, all right. So I'm going to wrap up the show a little early tonight. I'm going to go try and see what I can do to fix the giant catastrophe that popped up about an hour ago. It involves the Players Committee store, so that should tell you all you need to know. Thank you guys very much for tuning in tonight. It did cheer me up a little bit doing the show after all, so I appreciate that. And I appreciate you guys posting some comments in the chat, at least engaging a little bit. And we'll be back next week. Be sure and tune in Wednesday night, 9 o'clock for Hollow Theater. I don't know who Jerry and Dan have as their guest this week, but I'm sure it'll be another amazing show as always. So you get to learn some interesting things about whomever their guest or guests, sometimes they have multiple people on, will be. Then we'll be back next Monday night, which is a holiday. It's Memorial Day. But can't really go out and do a whole lot of stuff, right? So I'm sure we'll all be sitting around still playing Star Wars cards. But that's going to wrap it up. You guys take care, stay safe, and we'll see you back here next week.